Look like the angry black man. I'm not an angry black man. I'm a very successful, educated black man with a great family. And I'm great at basketball. I'm great at what I do. The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous.
I know that ain't who I think it is.
Gonna look at it. That's gonna be a flagrant. Now that right there.
One more look at it from this angle.
It's the leg, guys. Watch the leg. Oh my God. The follow. Remember, Draymond Green is one flagrant foul and 2 technicals away from being suspended.
He very clearly thinks his reputation, is costing him.
For sure.
What do you think about that?
I mean, I'm in agreement. It ain't like he's doing it on purpose.
Right.
When it comes to the career of Draymond Green, he's undoubtedly one of the biggest overachievers in NBA history, being a second-round pick for the Warriors, eventually being a 4-time All-Star, and one of the best defenders of his era. Draymond's overall career was an immense success. Now, with that being said, over Draymond's 13-year career, he hasn't just racked up 4 championships, but he's gained the reputation of one of the dirtiest players in league history.
Oh, man.
Well, that's going to be a flagrant.
Yep. It's got a chance.
And there is some holding going there, but you don't get to do that if you're Draymond. I'm sorry.
And tossed out of the game. McDaniels assessed 2 technical fouls, tossed out of the game. And then Draymond Green.
That guy's a dickhead.
I love how nowadays NBA players, they can just blame the media, blame fans for absolutely everything. Draymond Green clearly being a dirty player, it's not his fault, it's the media, it's fans, everyone else but Draymond. For a lot of NBA players today, a lot of athletes today, 2 big things they lack are self-reflection and accountability. And for someone like Draymond, look dude, we have eyes, we have ears, we watched you play for a decade, we know who you are. It's not some narrative out of nowhere to bash you as a player, destroy your legacy. The person who's done that is you yourself. And looking at just this year's postseason, versus Houston as well as Minnesota, this guy does so many dirty, cheap shot plays that rival someone like Bill Laimbeer.
And a little bit of kick at the end of that. I hope that was inadvertent right there by Draymond Green.
And Şengün peels off.
I mean, you can see he's clearly in the restricted area there. Yeah, you can rule that the lower defensive box where the restricted area doesn't apply.
It meets the criteria for a flagrant foul.
Ruling on the floor, foul on Van Vliet. We're looking at the play for a potential hospital out.
And you heard Tony Brothers, the crew chief, looking at the play for a...
What Draymond's trying to do right here is make it appear like it's an accident, incidental contact that wasn't on purpose. If you've played sports, you watch sports for a while, you know how coordinated professional athletes are. They don't do anything with their bodies they're not in control of. Draymond Green, all these clips, he knows what he's doing. And the worst thing about these clips, Draymond every single time complains to the refs, argues, I didn't do anything, I'm being attacked. Draymond Green somehow is the victim after slapping someone in the face.
The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous.
You have done that yourself.
So stopping that right there, Draymond Green, saying he's being unfairly targeted, there's some kind of racial narrative, racial bias against him, I don't buy it. 99% of NBA fans, what they see with Draymond Green is a dirty player regardless of skin color. And for really any sport, NFL, soccer, baseball, dirty plays, they transcend everything, and dirty players come in all shapes and sizes, and of course, all colors. Look at someone like Grayson Allen. This guy in college as well as the pros was dubbed as a dirty player, and rightfully so. And how did he get that rep? NBA fans didn't wake up one day and say Grayson Allen, he's a dirty player based off one play. This guy in college, the pros, really every single level, committed dirty plays year after year after year. Once you do that, you become a dirty player to the majority of NBA fans. And who do you blame for that? You can't blame us, you gotta blame yourself. And once again, looking at Draymond's antics, when this guy gets teed up, gets a flagrant, he goes berserk in the ref's face, nose to nose, yelling and jawing, and even then, doesn't get teed up. If you ask me, Draymond Green, more than a lot of players, is getting a ton of leeway with the refs to complain, bark, and really go nuts. A lot of players do this, technical, out of the game, you're gone. Draymond Green does it, you know, it's alright. In this year's playoff, Draymond Green has had 5 technical fouls and a couple of flagrants. When you have that long, lengthy history from 2016 onwards, there's a pattern of behavior that fans and refs, they recognize. At this point for Draymond Green, everyone knows it's a major problem except for Draymond Green. And that being the case, makes it even more embarrassing. And look, if you want to talk Draymond's overall career, most likely a Hall of Fame career, he'll get in like second, third ballot. Even with that being said, this guy's overall career, what's been overshadowed by is dirty plays and his own actions. As you think Draymond Green, what are you going to think of? Kicking people in the nuts, headlocks, and fighting and dirty play. The great hustle plays, defensive plays, yes, they'll be mentioned, they'll be a footnote, but what you'll think of first and foremost is the dirty plays, flagrants, and Draymond Green being an absolute psycho on the basketball court. In a lot of ways, Draymond, the modern day Bill Laimbeer. As looking at Laimbeer's career, in the 1980s, 1990s, the dirtiest player in the game, and 40 years later, still regarded as that. What gets lost with Bill Laimbeer is actually a great player and a 4-time All-Star. Fans nowadays, they don't know that. When you say Bill Laimbeer, you don't think 4-time All-Star, 2-time champion. What they think of is dirty plays and cheap shots and flagrant fouls.
Woolridge set the pick. Jordan lost. Vinnie Johnson and Laimbeer just fired at Jordan.
Laimbeer, Charles Barkley. They make no secret of the fact that they don't like each other. Laimbeer, who's had that mouse under his eye for most of the season, also had a cut. Both benches empty. It went on for 5 minutes.
Now, still comparing Bill Laimbeer versus Draymond, one big time difference, Bill Laimbeer, he owned his rep and fully embraced the dark side. Draymond Green, he wants it both ways. He wants to fight players, put guys in headlocks, be an absolute menace on the court, but at the same time, wants to be the victim. When you wear the black hat, get the villain role, you gotta embrace it and own up to your rep. Someone like Bill Laimbeer did that every single day. Draymond Green doesn't do it and wants it both ways. And look, speaking for myself, when it comes to the Warriors dynasty, Steph, Draymond, Clay, KD, I always appreciated them, loved their basketball style, but I wasn't always fully on board. The one reason I wasn't was because of Draymond. No matter how great Steph was, how great KD was, I couldn't root for Draymond Green getting another championship. In a very similar way, it's like Isaiah Thomas and Bill Laimbeer. As Isaiah, of course, was a great player, Hall of Fame point guard, but Bill Laimbeer, just a total dirtbag you could never root for. Now, one last point I do want to make about Draymond's career. Of course, he's won 4 championships, a 4-time All-Star, has had immense success. When you look at the Warriors dynasty, you gotta just wonder, could there have been more? The 2016 Finals Game 4, who cost the Warriors that championship? Draymond Green, due to his antics and bonehead plays. 3 years later, 2019, who pushed Kevin Durant out with that big blow-up fight in LA? Draymond Green, when he said, "We don't need you." 2023, Jordan Poole, punching this dude at practice, ruined the entire team's season and chemistry before it even started. Those 3 instances right there, they're big-time turning points in the Warriors dynasty, where they could have won more championships and been even more dominant if it wasn't for Draymond Green. And the one guy who could have stopped this a long time ago is, of course, Steve Kerr, their head coach, who's been there since 2015. Steve Kerr kind of just sits back, lets Draymond be Draymond, and at the same time complains about other teams being dirty and taking cheap shots.
I don't know if it was intentional, but it was dirty.
Earlier today that you expected tonight to be the most physical game you played all year is what we saw in the first quarter, what you had in mind?
No, that wasn't physical, that was dirty. But there's a code in this league. There's a code that players follow, where you never put a guy's season/career in jeopardy.
Ironic. So that right there is the end of the video. And I'll say one last thing. NBA players nowadays are so coddled, entitled, so pampered, they never think they're wrong. And when you combine it with someone like Steve Kerr, who doesn't really call out Draymond for his antics, what you get is an absolute fiasco for 10 straight seasons. Whether it be swinging on Nurkic, stomping Sabonis, putting Gobert in a headlock, whatever it may be. Draymond's antics have been going on for over a decade. And him getting the rep as a dirty player, how he's done that is through his own actions, not through media narrative or fans lying. As always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.